farmer's crops shrivel up as he marks the 400th day without rain. A mother and child cling to the sides of the ship as she flees her homeland, whose very memory was swallowed up by roaring sea waves, crushed and sunken after each flood, each storm, until finally there was nothing. A tree digs deeper into the soil as it holds on to its last few needles. The dry, red-brown disease seeps into the tips of the green needles, consumed by the work of a beetle, like every other tree that surrounds it for miles. You have noticed that the frogs you once played with as a child no longer exist in the places you once saw them. You are sad that your children will no longer be able to run after that leaping frog, hold it and catch it in their hands like you used to. You have noticed that in recent summers you have been forced to let your lawn go brown, your car go dirty, and your hygiene decline. You remember learning about forest fires as a kid, but never expected that you would have to evacuate your home because it was out of control and in your backyard. And as this crisis continues, the overwhelming scientific evidence tells us that we must change. Yet we build a wall with reality on the outside. We claim to be sustainable, yet our dollars are invested in fossil fuels. We build green bins and green buildings, yet we turn our backs to increasing coal and oil exports. Why do we continue to ignore the full price of carbon? It started with an idea that if I take from you, I can grow for myself. It was this drive to accumulate that created the great empires of this world. They did not seek to understand, rather to steal and impose their views upon the conquered. The sheer strength of this idea spread across the world like colonialism. Our society was built upon selfish interest, and those cultures who did not believe were crushed. And with the sudden birth of the industrial world began the slow death of the natural. We are emerging from colonialism, but this idea of selfish growth has not changed. The exploits of the Roman, British, Spanish empires of the past live on in how we treat our world today. Our corporate model rewards the destruction of nature. In the face of climate change and oil spills, Exxon and Shell continue to drill. And despite knowledge of ecological impacts, Monsanto and Dow's chemical concoctions have poisoned our land. Their costs passed on to the next generation, their exploits hidden behind a screen of greenwashing and PR. And we have lost control of our governments to these powers because we have allowed ourselves to put profits before people. Because we are blind to the fact that we are only consumers pursuing material gains. Because our common dreams are not clean lakes and rivers and food in the bowls of each and every child. We are told that these are impossible and we should aim for sports cars and mansions. We are lost! We are in a moment in time when even after centuries of economic growth, we have not grown enough. Growth is a word that is preached by our politicians and broadcast across the world by our media. Because growth is hope. And it is chanted like a mantra of a new religion, yet it is as old as the charcoal in the fires of cavemen. Our growth is measured in jobs and prosperity, in turnovers, dividends, and profits, in quality of material comforts, in how much oil we can drill out of the ground, and how many trees are slashed and burned. We are lost because we have not grown enough to connect with the people across the world who in our eyes have nothing, yet are affected most by our greed. Because we have not grown enough to realize that there's only so much oil we can drill out of the ground, that there are only so many trees we can cut down, that if we keep on taking fish from the ocean, someday there will be none. That if we are to take from the earth must be able to take from us at the same rate. We have not grown enough to realize that we are connected to the planet, to realize that there's so much more than material gains. Our growth can be measured in how much people touch our lives. It can be felt in how much we change, and it ripples through the people we inspire. But this change must be bigger than bringing bags to the supermarket. We can't just turn the water off when we brush our teeth, and though I support you for buying local and organic, this isn't enough. The crisis we are facing is not climate change. It is our inability to come together and act effectively. When I was young, the world I could build with a pen and paper was more remarkable than the colors of a desert sunset. It was this sunset on the horizon of a coral reef, surrounded not just by fish, but by tigers and polar bears. The seaweed stretching up to the surface of the water, creating the best hide-and-seek fort anyone could ever imagine. But the dreams I had, I never shared. I was too scared that someone would laugh, that my wise old elders would scoff at the idea. Because the first time I said I wanted to be a musician, people laughed at me. And it was this initial laugh that set the path for every dream to come. And although I tried to hold on to the last few pieces of my dreams, I felt I wasn't actually allowed to accomplish them. Let's be realistic, they would say. But perhaps the reason they did this was because they too were chasing their childhood dreams, but age had brittled their bones, and in turn their dreams became only memories. The older we get, the less we tend to believe in change. I ask you to be resilient. Think beyond the system. Build community and find common ground, and realize that the part of the reason that change is so difficult is that we are skeptical of the fact that we can change. No matter how many times your dreams are crushed and buried, the dirt caving in on the walls of your coffin, the downpour of rain washing away your words, your life, your memory, just remember that you are a seed. And the dirt people try to throw in your face is what gives you strength. Someday when you are ready, you will grow. And when you have grown enough and your branches step up into the sky, you will find that you can plant seeds in others. And those seeds, when they are ready, will follow your lead and grow like you have.